Charlie Mosley was literally a national athlete. Uh, the year that I trained in 1963, he was training at the time for the decathlon in the Olympics. He was that good. Played, he went to school at Alabama, and anyway, Charlie was a true Southern boy. He talked like a Southern boy. He thought like a Southern boy. Well, he was up in Winthrop on fires in 1962, and he his boots literally fell off his feet, so he needed new boots. And one of the Winthrop guys says, "Hey, go ask Pappy. He'll give you the money." Well, Charlie didn't know. I mean, to him, Pappy's a regular name, right? Well, so he goes walking up, and my dad's standing out in front of the office with a bunch of Monkey Muck Forest guys. And Charlie walks up. Pappy says, "They tell me I can borrow some money to go get a pair of boots." And he said that Dad just pulled his wallet out, handed him the money, and he walked off. And the way that was all. I asked Dad later on, and I said, "What did you think?" And he says, "I knew he'd been put up to it." But the rest of those monkey mucks over there were right about that big around it. Here, there's some kid called him Pappy to his face. So the 13th jump, I made it on a Friday the 13th in August of 1963. So it was one of those where and people to this day ask me, "Well, do you hate the number 13?" And my answer is no. Actually, I have no problem with 13, simply because I lived. I didn't die. And what happened was that particular jump was not made out of a Forest Service owned airplane. The Forest Service airplanes were all cleaned up. What I mean, all the little doorknobs and things like that were all taken off of our jump ships, so that the sides of the doors were slick. Well, this particular jump, they had run out of airplanes, and so they brought in a contract plane from a guy up in Eugene. And when they came flying in, the fire call just came in. They took the door off of the airplane and laid it aside, and we crawled in, and away we went. The fire was up on the Umpqua National Forest out of Roseburg is where it was. Anyway, I was the second man in the stick. At that time we jumped two-man sticks, so that the first guy was down in the door, and the second guy was crouched behind him with his hands high on the door. So my jump partner Gary Peters went out, and when I slid my hand down the door, my left sleeve caught on the door latch. It was just an L-shaped latch, so it just hung just like that. But I didn't know that. And I went out the door, and here all of a sudden I slammed up the side of the airplane with my arm stretched out. It separated my shoulder, and I reached up to try to pull myself in. I'd never been able to do it. And to this day, I can remember seeing Mick Swift looked out the door at me, and he's like, "What in the world are you doing here?" And he reached down, and I reached up, and about that time the sleeve ripped out, and I was flipping end for end in the air, and I can, to this day, I can remember telling myself, "Parachute, if you've ever opened, now's the time." And because it was going underneath my arm and around my neck and around my legs, and the lines were feeding out, and finally it opened. And I mean, most of the lines were wrapped around me, so it opened immediately above me, and I just started unrolling. And when I finally finished unrolling, my feet were caught up inside the shroud lines, so I was hanging upside down and floating across the forest that had these monster trees in it. And I totally missed the jump spot. There was no way I was ever going to make the jump spot.